For our project, most of us are graduating next semester, and we wanted to see if an in-person graduation would be possible considering the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. My name's Sam, these are my partners, and we're going to tell you about it. Due to COVID-19, OSU has been on hold for hosting events in the SHU. However, OSU believes that if they can adhere to all of the safety guidelines put into place, they will be able to host an event again very soon. But they need help in figuring out how many people can safely enjoy an event, and the perfect opportunity is rising soon. In May 2020, OSU was not able to host a graduation ceremony for all graduating seniors. Instead, they hosted a Zoom meeting to recognize all the students. This year, May 2021, they want to figure out a way they can provide their students with an in-person graduation ceremony to recognize all their hard work throughout the past few years. Considering the current trend in rising numbers of COVID-19 cases, it is even more important that should this event take place, it is done so with social distancing guidelines in mind.
Additionally, in-person graduation ceremonies in spring semester have occurred in the SHU. Though the OSU football stadium has a maximum capacity of 102,780 total seats, there are currently only about 1,600 people, mostly players' relatives, allowed in the stadium because of the COVID-19 pandemic for the football games. But how many could we safely fit for graduation? Is this the maximum amount of people we can fit while social distancing, maintaining a minimum of 6 feet? For this problem, we combined A and AA seating and ignored D deck and press box seating. Then, considering the size of the graduating class, looking at the previous years from the OSU website, the maximum graduates in 2019 was 12,213. However, we decided to round up to 1,300 to account for the growing size of the graduating classes each semester. Considering bench dimensions, in order to enforce our 6-foot distancing guideline, we will require at least 3 empty benches of space between every filled row. So only 25% of the rows will be filled. We will assume 19 inches of width for a seat, so we need 4 empty seats between each that is filled, so only 20% of the seats in each row will be filled. For simplicity and for more effective social distancing guidance, we decided that each person would have to be seated away from each other. There can be no groups allowed.
Our decision variables are defined here. The combined A and AA decks have 60 rows with 30 seats per section and 30 sections. B deck has 20 rows with 25 seats per section and 28 sections total. Lastly, C deck has 50 rows with 20 seats per section for a total of 30 sections. We formulated our problem as having the maximized objective function subject to the constraints shown here. This means that in Deck A, with the COVID-19 restrictions, there are 15 rows times 30 sections times 6 seats per row, equaling to 2,700 available seats. This means that Deck B has 5 rows times 28 sections times 5 seats per row, equaling to 700 seats. And lastly, this means that Deck C has 12 rows times 30 sections times 4 seats per row, equaling to 1,440 seats available. In CVXPy, we formulated the problem to give us an output of how many total seats could be filled with all of the constraints in mind. We started by creating 3 different variables to represent the different decks, and then A seats in rows, B seats in rows, and C seats in rows to present the seats in rows. We then created a matrix of the number of seats per row in each deck so that we can conduct matrix multiplication. For our constraints, we used for loops to sum up all of the rows and columns in each deck with the specific constraints for each deck. We then took this result and used it for the matrix multiplication to find out how many seats were available in each deck. Finally, our objective function was adding the available seats in each deck, which ultimately led to our solution for our problem.
We can see in the code output that our optimal solution comes out to be 4,840, meaning only 4,840 people would be able to fit in the SHU on graduation. We regret to inform the class of May 2021 that an in-person graduation is not feasible at this time for the safety and health of everyone around them. Not only can we not have a graduation where graduates can invite family members, friends, or significant others, but we also cannot even have a graduation where all their graduates can fit in the stadium safely.